in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Commonwealth focuses on serious issues impacting youth as the 2015 conference officially opened in Malta. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Commonwealth leaders were urged to address the social issues affecting the 2 billion people living in the Commonwealth of Nations, in particular, young people. Clint Watson tonight is in Malta.
To make one relatively simple change. The Commonwealth needs a reboot. It has to reconfigure itself.
It's not the traditional message you expect to hear at the opening of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, but it's one leaders say must be echoed. In fact, host Prime Minister and incoming Chairman of CHOGM, who also happens to be the youngest leader in the Commonwealth at 41, the Honourable Dr. Joseph Muscat, says in no uncertain terms, the organisation must change.
Not because it has not done anything, quite the opposite. The number of initiatives it has embarked upon over the past years is indeed impressive. But we need to be more relevant and close to the aspirations of our citizens. Our focus should be firmly on values and not membership numbers.
He says there's no better way for the Commonwealth to add global value than to work on good governance, equality, climate change, education and employment, and the fight against radicalization.
We live at a time where young people within our Commonwealth and beyond are attracted to join terrorist groups that want to destroy democracy and our way of life. Part of the immediate fight is, unfortunately and necessarily, of military nature. Nevertheless, in the long term, there are much more powerful weapons that need to be unleashed to eradicate radicalization and its causes. They are called education and employment. Terrorists are more scared of well-educated girls and boys who manage to get a good job than they will ever be of any army.
Also concerned about youth and the disadvantages they face, head of the Commonwealth, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, said the Commonwealth must look after the youth.
In that vein, it must also be right publicly to redouble our commitment to the Commonwealth's youth, our future. Much has been said about the possibilities afforded by connectivity within the Commonwealth among younger generations, being the majority of those under 30 years of age and often facing the greatest challenges of inequality, disadvantage and poverty. This positive force of engagement by young people, acting for young people, is so much of what the Commonwealth is about and aspires to be.
The opening ceremony with all its theatrics did not disappoint. What appeared to be a flawless, well-put-together collage of the performing arts captured the audience's attention as it reinforced themes such as climate change, unification, and diversification. The local star-studded cast through music, dance, drama, spoken word, and acrobatics entertained the global leaders ahead of what is being described as a weekend of intense meetings. And those intense meetings will wrap up on Sunday. A communique is expected to be issued here at a press conference in the International Media Center, which will sum up all of the proceedings for the past 2 days of negotiations at CHOGM. In Malta, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
The Bahamas has been re-elected to the International Maritime Organization. The country was elected in Category C, obtaining 124 votes out of a possible 154 votes. Minister of Transport and Aviation, the Honourable Glenys Hannah Martin, is in London attending the IMO's 29th Assembly.
This is the UN agency that governs maritime activities worldwide. And when you know that 90% of world trade is done by sea, and the implications to economies and to standards and policies that this body influences, and that our country Our archipelago called the Bahamas, our beautiful country, sits on the council and in our own right are bringing substantive involvement and representation to these matters on behalf of the wider body. I think there are approximately 170 members, and the Bahamas has risen to the top in a leadership role in the maritime sector.
The Transport and Aviation Minister boasts that this election result could very well boost our position at the IMO since the last election 2 years ago.
It is the result of hard work, dedication, and the highest of standards that we have brought as a country to this process. And it was something that has clearly been recognized and appreciated by the wider body. When you look at the confidence that has been reposed on us by countries from all over the world, Africa, Europe, Asia, through the region, etc. And so this is, we feel very good about it. And it sort of sets the tone for all of us to understand that as a people, you know, we're capable of really anything that we put our minds to. And this is not a gratuitous involvement. This is earned. And it comes as a result of some really important substantive involvement by the Bahamas.
National Emergency Management Agency Director Captain Stephen Russell revealed that NEMA has spent almost $800,000 transporting building material to carry out its repair programs in islands devastated by Category 4 Hurricane Joaquin. He says the agency has received some $9 million in donations due to the generosity of the public and corporate partners. Some of that also came from international organizations such as the Inter-American Development Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank that both granted $200,000 each. While pleased with the repair program so far, Captain Russell says the lessons learned from Hurricane Joaquin will influence the future response of the agency.
Again, the WhatsApp and the other chat stuff are coming on stream now. We have had discussions with IRCA, BTC, Cable Bahamas now to interrupt broadcasting on particular cable channels and send the emergency messages across the screen. And eventually you'll find next year as we go forward, everyone that has a cellular phone, we would work with BTC to make sure that they can send an emergency text message to every cellular phone holder throughout the entire Bahamas. So that's where we're moving to as a result of this exercise.
As the 2015 Atlantic hurricane season closes on Monday, Director of the Department of Meteorology, Trevor Baisden, also acknowledges lessons were learned. He says the agency has now proposed the purchase of 4 more Doppler radar systems that can be positioned on different islands, possibly Mayaguana, San Salvador, and Long Island.
That would give us a complete mosaic or coverage of any system that would be affecting the Bahamas, not only cyclone, but also in terms of severe weather that would affect anywhere in the Bahamas. And then we could more accurately and definitely protect life and property in the Bahamas.
Police in Eleuthera tonight are after working with their counterparts to send more than 100 Haitians captured in the southern Eleuthera area this morning to the Carmichael Road Detention Center here in New Providence. Officer in charge of Eleuthera, Superintendent Chris Wright, credits the work of law enforcement and boaters as well as other residents for this successful apprehension.
Shortly after 7 a.m. this morning, we got information from a local boatman that a Haitian sloop was seen just in the area of Bahamas Beach South. The police, along with immigration, we mounted a team and we responded to that area where we were able to spot the vessel. Another local fisherman from that area assisted us with his boats, 2 boats, and we were able to board that boat. We towed the vessel, which is a 35-foot Haitian sloop, red, white, and blue in color, wooden. We towed it into Princess Keys. We have a total of 115 persons, inclusive of 26 females and 89 males.
Coming up, the Bahamas starts to recognize World AIDS Day 2015. And the B3A's elections just a few hours away. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report.